the biggest input in my fashion life is like my 10-year-old daughter who says what does or doesn't look good.
Kids have the best style. I really think they do.
Think so?
Because they don't care about stuff that everybody else cares about. They just care about kid stuff.
They just want it to look good.
Yeah, they don't care if their Crocs match their socks. They can wear pants and a skirt at the same time. You know what I would look like if I did that at the airport?
Great.
Yeah, amazing.
Hi, I'm Lacey J. I'm an entrepreneur who started a social media agency at age 22. Weird, I know. I've been niching it down and building it up over the last 11 years, and a long 11 years they have been. Being on social media so much is hard on my and my team's mental health, so we work to find routines, balance, and focus on ethics that keep us showing up authentically online. If you manage social media accounts and you feel confused, unfocused, or straight up wackadoo, welcome to the club. We meet here once a week.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am so excited to tell you that I've got Natalie Murphy here with me again today. It is your second time on the show.
She let me back.
Can
you believe?
10-year digital marketer. You've got so much good experience. People need to hear from you, okay?
Well, thanks, Lacey. I'm glad to be allowed back for the second trial.
And it's fun to talk
together. It is. And we do this all the time, just us, so it's really great to have an opportunity to, put it out there for the world.
You're welcome in advance. We've got kind of a myriad of topic. It's grab bag topic kind of day, so we're going to go through it. The first thing that I want to talk about is the economy is shifting quite a bit.
Really quick.
So marketers, what are we doing in this shifting economy to better place our businesses, the businesses that we're working with on social media? What kind of changes are you seeing in marketing in this shifting economy?
Yeah. So, my primary job is in home improvement, which obviously is tied so close to the housing market. And because we don't really know what's going on with the housing market right now, we know what's going on with federal interest rates. We know what's going on, in terms of houses sitting around, which is not typical for the last 2 years. But we don't really know what's ahead. So for me, it's been more about figuring out how we're providing value to homeowners and then using that to change the language towards a return on investment in terms of copywriting, right? And that's what is kind of working for us right now. One thing that I think is really important to think about, no matter the industry or the product, is what are your actual goals with your marketing practices? And one thing that we were talking about is how web traffic right now is the number one thing. So we're seeing like a shift downwards, an emphasis of community size and engagement and things that matter to marketers like us, but really don't matter as much to the client, depending on the client.
Yeah, I've seen that across the board because we have, at Spry, we have quite a few different industries that we help represent. And over the last 2 years, I feel like the trends have looked like, okay, a pandemic came, which means that it was very crisis communications focused. And it was very like, this is the only way that we're going to be able to communicate with our customers, right? So for almost a year, that was the main focus. And then come 2021, there was more of a focus around awareness again. Right. Like people were more poised for growth in 2021. So looking for awareness.
2021 was the year of growth.
Yes.
In every industry, in every facet, every hiring practice, all sorts of things. It was just the year of growth for so many people.
So that meant that at social media level, we're looking at reach, we're looking at engagement, we're looking at increasing community sizes. But now you can see businesses' budgets getting pinched.
Yes.
So that's where this focus on the changing strategy more towards actionable things. Is there a call to action in every post? There's not enough room for fluff content. It's more focused on driving traffic, getting messages, getting people in the door.
And I think while you mentioned like shifting budgets, that's really important to this time. And I think every social manager on the planet right now is thinking, okay, I allocate this amount of funds every week, every month, whatever your schedule is, towards these goals. It's taking a look at your Google Analytics going, okay, is there something that I'm missing? Like drawing those lines is really important right now as a marketer. And I think it's always important, but it's just depends on the season. And the reason I bring that up is for us, like we were seeing, Instagram is not somewhere we've typically advertised to because our target demographic is not traditionally on there. And again, that's always a moving goalpost as well. But we were seeing that Instagram users were spending almost double the time on the site, which is an important distinction because it means that they're a more qualified lead. And having more qualified leads results in better web traffic, not just sending people to the website, but the people that are actually there. So I allocated some of our budget that we traditionally put on Facebook towards Instagram. And you'd think that that's a risky move of sorts, but in reality it's not, because these people are the most engaged, and that's sort of the like gap that I was missing. So I think that's important now as well.
I'm glad you're bringing up Google Analytics, because that's where I was going to go too. If we have this shifting focus towards website traffic, we are stunted as social media managers if we don't have access to and understand Google Analytics. So that's a huge area for improvement for lots of social media marketers. If you want to learn a new skill, Google Analytics might be the place to go, because you've got to know what your website traffic is doing once they get there.
Totally.
So that the system can work together well. The whole digital marketing system needs to work together well. You need to be able to look at where, how much traffic you're sending to social, how long they're staying, what they're doing when they're there by going through the behavior flow map.
And what they're looking at. Because one thing that we found was that, so this time of year, dogs are muddy. We had especially in Portland, Oregon. And so we were noticing an uptick in traffic on a particular blog post we had about remodeling, with your dog in mind, which is so lovely. Like having a mud room. So that's a really popular post for us because of the season change. And so we figured that out and boosted that. Drawing those lines, I think, is really important. But the other thing is, like, for social managers, I also think, like, taking a deep breath, knowing your numbers are gonna go down. They may go down, and like that's typical, but it feels extra painful right now. And it's like not your fault. You know what I mean? Like you gotta just kind of treat every day like it's new, and the challenge is different, because the economy we've been in has been so chaotic in so many ways and so much growth centered that we're shifting, in terms of so many things right now. So I think I just wanted to include that, because it's like, as a social manager, you feel like your numbers are failing, you're failing, and that's not necessarily the case. You just need to sort of pivot a little bit.
Smart. Okay, so let's move on to another topic, which is Instagram stories and Instagram story ads, okay?
Yeah.
So stories have been getting so much more attention than feed posts over the last few months. That shift is happening a lot. And so what we're seeing is people strategically start to do more ads within Instagram stories
instead of boosted posts.
So what if I know you told me about an experiment that you've been kind of running. So talk to me a little bit about what you've been doing in Instagram story ads.
So like I was saying, on Google Analytics, we saw that those people coming in through the Instagram funnel were staying on the website longer.
Yes.
So to sort of test it out, I was feeling a little crazy, and I shouldn't say crazy, it was, but
you were feeling a little spunky.
I was feeling a little bit like I wanted to try something new, which happens when you do the same thing every day over and over again. So I did 2 different Instagram stories. They both had images with no text, and, I didn't want to have that kind of clouding the results. And then I saved it to a general Oregon audience, and I let the boost of the stories pick who would look at it, right?
Yes.
And to sort of unpack that, what that means is, usually as social marketers, we're, narrowing it down to the exact T of who we want to reach. So I sort of stepped back and was like, okay, if I just let these go. And one was a picture of a bathroom. It was very plain. The other was a picture of our sales team for this particular client. And what we found was that younger people were drawn to the bathroom, and older people, relatively 45 to 55 bracket, were drawn to seeing human beings in the ad, which was a really interesting insight, I feel like. So now, going back, I'm going to take a second look at it, again, not adding text, and go, okay, so like, let's test 2 bathrooms.
Yes.
Let's see what that looks like. Let's test, a feed post of the same photo.
I thought you were going to say, let's test feet.
Let's
maybe a
test
feet post.
Yeah, we're not there yet. The economy is not yet that bad where we're at that point, but we may get there. So I think that was interesting, because you get really granular, so it's sometimes nice to take a step back and not look at it in that way. And so now we have an informed sort of way to proceed on this new ad strategy.
I'm such an advocate for experimentation.
Totally.
And what I love about this, you titled these like self-selecting ads, which I love that as a title. So maybe you've been working on a really targeted ad audience for a long time and you're really happy with how it's doing. Why not run an experiment to create a self-selected audience where you do something that's a little more broad, like you did all of Oregon, right? And when you just did all of Oregon, then you were able to look in and see, okay, which age range actually responded,
engages with that
which gender actually responded, which location responded more. And that allows you to just make sure that what you've been doing for your ad audience is in line with what you're seeing here, or gives you the opportunity to make some some adjustments.
And I think it's a nice way to not put people in boxes, but allow them, I guess, for lack of a better term, to enter the box themselves and opt in.
Because we love box autonomy.
We love box autonomy, yeah. But I think that, you know, it's a nice way for the user to not feel like they're getting, like, you know, hammered necessarily with a specific ad set. So,
and I guess the one last point that I'll do with that is, if you have been promoting Instagram feed posts for a while, those have automatically been being pushed into stories as well.
Yes,
The ad pushes that into stories. So my recommendation would be, if you haven't tried a story first ad where you're publishing it to the story and it's formatted in story format and that's what you're publishing, that's a great experiment to do maybe during the month of December.
I think the other thing to note here, because it tripped me up a few times when I first started doing story promotions, is that story promotions, you can't use any stickers.
Oh, that's a great point. Hashtags.
You can't tag anybody.
You can't use copywritten music.
Yeah, so you really have to just pick your favorite photo or create something like, say, in Canva or something, and just upload it plain so that there's no potential problems for it getting flagged, because you just can't boost anything with tags and whatnot. So,
great point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Point number 3 here. What's the point of Twitter now?
That's a great question, Lacey.
What's the point of Twitter now?
And I think if you're in the social media space, this is the question that, like, so many people are talking about. It's like, where do we go from here with Twitter?
Yeah.
You know, now that we're sort of entering what I'm calling, like, the Elon Musk era of Twitter and all of the different changes that come with that, both at the company as a culture, which is sort of the secondary to the primary for the social manager of, like, what do we do with it?
Yeah, like the culture of the platform.
Yeah. I mean, for me, we differ on this a little bit. I don't have as much experience with Twitter just because clients don't ask for it from the ones that I've interacted with, but you have really good use cases for the times that you have used it.
Yeah, because the clients that we have had that have had a Twitter focus, it's primarily on things around emergency response, around crisis communication, around weather events, around crime events, around wildland fires. Those are the type of things that people have historically used Twitter for. Why? Because they can find verified information by verified sources, like police departments, fire departments. And
I have a personal story with this because in 2020, my neighbor's house caught on fire in the middle of the night, and it was a large sort of explosion, and the only information my husband and I had driving away, when the adrenaline is full in your system, was Twitter. That was it. And so when you mentioned that, I'm like, that's exactly the one time I really needed it, just to even know, okay, it's not safe to come back, or the animals are okay. Like, your neighbor's animals are obviously, like, you're waiting on pins and needles to see if the dog made it, right? So, like, those kind of things were really, really helpful when we had no information on the cause of the fire, on whether we'd be permitted back in our house. There was also forest fires going on when that was happening. So there's a really solid case where it's, you know, disseminating information incredibly quickly. And I think that that's the point of it. But is that the point moving forward?
Like, I'm not sure it can be. We'll see what ends up happening with Twitter Blue, and whether that's going to continue, or what they've put a Band-Aid on it by adding this little official watermark that's underneath. But whatever, I don't know what the point is going to be of Twitter moving forward. We'll see how much this messes up the legitimacy and the trust.
Yeah, because that's the tricky part.
Yes.
I think politics has a huge place on Twitter. I mean, that's a whole community that's like an ecosystem, really.
And journalists.
And sort of that whole sphere. But the legitimacy of the platform is something that's really important, because I've noticed from a client perspective, like, people don't trust Facebook as much anymore because of various things that they were reading. And so we've even had comments like, you know, advertising on Facebook about Facebook. So the platform is really important. And I think we've learned that as powerful as Meta is, or as powerful, and I would say established as Twitter is, you know, there's other platforms that'll pop up to replace it. And I'm looking at Gas and Be Real on that one. But, you know, I think that the legitimacy definitely matters.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. The last point that I have on our grab bag list of things to talk about is TikTok and Instagram sounds.
Yeah.
And specifically, I want to talk about it around the music industry, okay?
Yes.
The Grammy lists have just been coming out.
Yeah,
and
I thought the Grammy lists were really interesting this year.
yes, especially if you overlay them onto what popular sounds have been trending on TikTok and Instagram.
Last year, I was mentioning to you, I did a little, like, study of this on my Instagram. And again, that's probably outdated at this point. But one of the things that stood out to me is then I was talking about how it was boosting people's careers, like small artists like Kim Petras and, you know, other like artists of that size that came sort of from the internet, and TikTok boosted them into the Billboard charts. But now we're looking at it differently. I think now it's like you cannot be successful in music without TikTok.
Yeah, do you start writing writing songs and lyrics that are TikTok first?
This is my like little theory that I've been talking to Lacey about forever. Because my theory is, like, as much as I really do love Lizzo. I think she's great. This album, I almost picture her writing it for TikTok. The About Damn Time like hook is very, very catchy. I'm sure everybody listening to this knows what I'm talking about. And I just picture her at her piano going, oh, this is going to be hot. Like, you know what I mean? And Taylor's...
like this 20 seconds.
Yeah, like this is the part of the song. And I'm not saying that that produces bad music, because it's all relative and it's all, you know, whoever's like, you know, listening to it. But I think that it definitely is now like prominent in the music industry, and it makes me wonder what the writing process is now like for artists. I would love to hear more on that.
Yeah, did Taylor Swift sit down and go, it's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me.
Exactly.
And just like imagine the millions of TikToks and Reels that were going to come out of that line, and what that would do for her album and for her concerts.
I think it's all, because the thing about Taylor Swift, and I should disclose before I talk about this, that I'm not a Swiftie per se. Like, I'm not either. Yeah, I've always liked her music. Like, I've always liked certain songs, but I was not like on the Ticketmaster website, like driving myself crazy yesterday.
Which still, I had no idea how many of my friends were.
Yeah, it's like,
that was wild.
It was like
that on social media.
Kind of like an exodus of like everyone coming out as a Swiftie after like a little bit of time off. You know what I mean? Because I knew some of my friends that like really were, and like her fan base really is like the blood of what she does. And so when you say like, is she like writing that hook, I'm thinking about how she's always thinking about her fans and the things that they go through at the same time or similar times or can relate to. And really that line, it's me, I'm the problem, reflects a lot of the like, you know, positive mental health trends we've been seeing on these social media apps for a really long time. So I almost feel like it's like, you know, you can't even pull it apart because it's so part of itself in terms of the trend.
Look, that gave me goosebumps, because just thinking about an artist who does care to connect with their fans that way.
And that's what's always, like, I've always given her that little bit of respect. Like, I might not be, like, super into this music, but I've given her the respect for, like, writing her own music, like, connecting with the people that, like, you know, hype her up. Like,
what an opportunity to almost be in conversation with your fan base.
Yes.
If you were to be creating these lines that you knew they would then create off of.
Yeah.
Like, that's what gives me goosebumps, is this idea of artists and fans being able to engage in this type of communication because of the trending audio and using those.
And I think that is what's happening, because I look at certain songs and I go, they couldn't have written this not knowing that 20 million people are going to dance to it. Like Beyonce's new album, you know, Summer Renaissance, Break My Soul, these were all like very popular dance trends in the middle of the summer. She used club beats like super intentionally, and she used club beats like from the 90s and the 80s, like sort of hearkening back to a club time. And I think she was really reading that everybody wanted to go back outside. I mean, like, that's like part of the lyrics too, but it really hit well on TikTok. And I think that there's no mistakes with Beyonce.
When you look at the lists of Song of the Year, the Grammy nominees for Song of the Year,
which we should read them. I feel like
at least half were really trending audio. A, B, C, D, E, F, U, About Damn Time, anything from Taylor Swift, from Beyonce, like all of that was highly trending audio throughout the year on TikTok.
And I have to give a little bit of a shout out to ABBA, who is nominated for a Record of the Year, because I grew up listening to ABBA on a cassette tape in my grandfather's truck. He was like their biggest fan, and I would never have predicted that they would win a Grammy in 2022, and I'm always astoundingly impressed when that happens, because it's just like an incredible thing. And I think multi-generational appreciation is so important, and I think you actually see that a little bit on TikTok. Like, you see people sort of like connecting with their grandparents and, doing stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of old songs have sort of found a new like breath of air, which is fun.
Do you credit TikTok for ABBA's return?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It was there before. Like, I mean, like, I was seeing it, like, you go to a party, someone turn on ABBA in kind of a kitschy, fun way. But, like, TikTok really, like, blew it up, for sure.
Well, fun. Okay, that's all our grab bag topics. Let's take a quick break.
Oh, Ella.
Have you heard of the Spry Space membership yet? It's a magical place where you can come to get direct access to social media experts who are doing the things every day. We're talking a private Discord channel where we'll answer questions daily. We're talking video curriculum and live video curriculum that you'll get access to that renews every month. It's timely, it's relevant, it's stuff you should be doing right now that maybe you don't know you need to be doing. We've got blank templates for persona creation, for annual content planning, for annual reporting that we have worked for a decade to create and perfect, and we want to share it with you. If you need this, go to thinkspry.com, click on membership, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, so Natalie, before we let everybody go, how you doing? Is there anything in your life right now that you're putting into play that is bringing you some peace, some strength, some mental fortitude? What's going on?
I mean, in my life, I rely on exercise to give me endorphins.
Okay, yes.
The Legally Blonde quote, like, what is it?
Exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and
And
happy people just don't kill their husbands.
So the success rate's high on that one. But I've been really, really liking doing Pilates and things like that. When it comes to social, putting my ads on ongoing has been something for the holiday season that I've been really liking. I usually don't do that. Like, I usually have alarms set up. But here's the thing about the holidays. You're going to be visiting with your family. You're going to be eating lots of food. You love snacks, I feel like it's worth giving yourself the mental break to just be like, okay, I know on January 1st this ad set's ending if it has a seasonal tint to it, or I'm going to have it for like 3 weeks, because it's just like a nice way to know that like stuff happens and you're going to be busy during the season. So that's been working for me, because
That's
usually
smart.
I'm checking in on ads a lot. Right now I just have 2 that are holiday ads, and they're set and they're ongoing, and I make sure that they're getting the return on investment that's working for the client. But other than that, it's just nice to know that January they're wiped away and we get like a fresh slate on Facebook.
That's smart. We've been seeing longer form ads working well
Yeah.
anyway, and so we're often setting longer dates, but then
Yes.
checking back in to make sure that they're still providing a good
So
return.
that is working, because I've seen a difference in that. Usually that wouldn't be the case. I would
exactly.
say,
It would get worse over time.
yes.
Mhm.
And so like, and I think that's what's nice about setting an ad for a long time is like, you can check on it, and if it's not doing as well, then you just pause it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that hard, but the trick is just remembering, to check on it, right?
Mhm.
And then also just remembering when it ends so that you can, look at your numbers. But I think that's been helping me out recently. That and Pilates, keeping
All
me
right.
together.
Extend your ad time and get out and exercise and get some endorphins so you don't kill anybody. We love you. Have a good rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Lacey.
Natalie.
We said it at the same time.
Bye.
Bye.
Social Media with Lacey J is brought to you by Spry Social Media Marketing. Edited and produced by Chad Hinman and executive produced by Lacey J. Fott.